Hey everyone, welcome back to the Movie Studio, and today I'm here with a brand new video for you guys. I'm going to be interviewing Rachel Wagner and Ryan Cam, and we're going to be talking about our top three favorite Disney live-action remakes and our top three least favorite Disney live-action remakes. So thank you guys for coming on the podcast.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This is so fun.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for having us.
Before we get started into the live action remakes, why don't you guys tell us a bit about your channel, what all do you do in it, and how do you think it would benefit other people listening to it?
Rachel, you go ahead and go first.
Yeah, so I have two kind of main hubs of activity. I have Rachel's Reviews, which does reviews, particularly animation, podcasts on Disney and on obscure animation, and we have our hidden gems where we talk about streaming services. We've been doing Sunday devotionals in COVID, so a lot of fun stuff going on at Rachel's Reviews. And then at Hallmarky's podcast, we talk about all things Hallmark, all things rom-com, all things the holiday films. We're gearing up, getting ready. We're actually having our big planning meeting tonight to get ready for Christmas. So yeah, things are going to be getting exciting, and we have interviews and all kinds of stuff going on there. So a lot going on. I really love doing what I do. I feel very blessed.
Cool.
Yeah, and those planning sessions are important because the Hallmark's releasing 100,000 Christmas movies this year, and Rachel's got to be prepared.
That's right.
But as for me, my name is Ryan Cam. I have my channel, which is Ryan Cam. I do movie reviews. I try and do most of the new releases and review those. But the biggest series I've been doing since the coronavirus struck has been the AFI project, where I've been reviewing every movie off of the updated list of the American Film Institute's top 100 movies of all time. I started with Citizen Kane, and tomorrow, actually, because we're recording this on a Monday night, so that would be Tuesday, will be the episode for number 37, which is the best years of our lives. And coming up, I've got King Kong and Treasure of the Sierra Madre, and just a lot of some of the greatest movies ever made are going to be reviews coming up. And I am planning a big series for October for Halloween. It's still very much in the planning phases, so I won't go any further than that. But that's that's really the big series that I've got going on right now.
Okay, yeah, those both sound cool. Pretty much, we're gonna start with our third least favorite, and then third favorite, second least favorite, second favorite, and then first favorite and first least favorite. We'll go ahead and start with you, Rachel. What's your third least favorite Disney live action remake?
Third least favorite. Okay. My third least favorite is the Alice in Wonderland. And I think that, and I would include Alice Through the Looking Glass. I don't like either of them. I don't like how they got rid of the nonsense. They made everything so bleak, and there's like a war going on and a prophecy, and it's just not fun. And you, in the second one, you have things explained that nobody needed to have explained. Nobody wanted to know why the Red Queen's head was so large. We don't need that answered. That's not interesting. And I mean, who knew that tarts were the secret to all the problems of the world? I don't know. It was really bad and just garish and unpleasant. And you think that Tim Burton would be able to bring some whimsy into the world of Alice in Wonderland, but instead it's just not whimsical hardly at all, and just kind of gross. Yeah, that's my number three least favorite.
Okay, Ryan, you can go ahead with yours.
So my third least favorite is, and this is quite a coincidence, it's Alice in Wonderland from Tim Burton. We didn't plan this; it was a complete accident. But yeah, this movie is just one big group of why. Because Tim Burton, I used to be a fan of him. Like he had a very unique way of making his movies, but nowadays it's just like I think his entire thing is, Mr. Burton, you want everything dark? Yes, and that's where it begins and ends. Not only to all the points you mentioned, Rachel, but it's also a very it's also a very non-family friendly film because Alice actually has to go through this lake and step on these severed heads, which is just like
Gross.
families don't need to watch that, or
Yeah,
kids
and
don't need to watch
I
that.
mean, Crispin Glover's on there acting all weird, and I don't know.
Well, I mean, Crispin Glover has always been a little so I'm sure he wasn't playing against type, playing the Knave of Hearts.
Yeah.
But it's just it's just so weird. And this is coming from Tim Burton, who had once had a vision, but nowadays it's like Johnny Depp. It's like he's just playing the weird and out there guy for like 30 years, and the act has gotten old real quick.
Do you agree with me that I feel like Burton has lost his whimsy? Like that's
Absolutely.
what made his darker stories kind of more palatable in the past was because there was like a little bit of whimsy to him, a little bit of fun.
Yeah, because Beetlejuice is a very dark movie,
Yeah.
but at least the main character of Beetlejuice is incredibly charismatic and
Yeah.
has more than a fair share of hilarious lines.
Right.
Ed Wood is essentially about it's essentially a movie about the worst movie ever made, but that worst movie turns out to be Plan 9 from Outer Space by director Ed Wood, and that turned out to be one of the most hilarious movies ever made. So it's dark humor, but there was humor in there, but now it's just dark, and it's like someone who never grew out of their emo phase.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed.
So my third least favorite is The Jungle Book from 1994.
Mm.
I like the I don't know. I think I like the Jungle Book aspect to it because of, like, I like movies that focus on animals, but this one felt a little bit. I'm trying to think of the right word. Sloppy, maybe. It just felt a little bit. I think it just felt a little bit off. And this is the first live action remake that Disney ever made. Goes back to 1994. A lot of the live action remakes were made more recently, but yeah, this one just it felt something felt off to it. So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That's
Good.
interesting. I never saw that before, so I'll definitely steer
Yeah.
clear of it.
I actually haven't seen it either. So good one.
Okay. Rachel, you can go ahead and say your third favorite.
So my third favorite is Cinderella. I mean, I love Cinderella in general. It's kind of one of those stories that's hard to do wrong for me. I just really like the whole sort of rooting for the underdog kind of there's an inherent hope in the story of Cinderella. I also think that Cinderella is helped by the fact that I'm not like as tied to the Disney version because I have lots of versions that I like. I like Ever After. I like Slipper and the Rose. I like, a bunch of different ones. And so it's easier to kind of take it on its own without comparing it to the original. But it also made some like different choices. I liked the fact that they kind of fleshed out Lady Tremaine and her character a little bit more. And Kate Blanchett is so good as Lady Tremaine. And there were little things like when I first saw her dress, I was like, ugh, I don't know about that dress. That looks weird. But then they explained it, why they did the way they did, and it had a connection to her mother. So then I liked it. And I think it had enough kind of whimsy and fun while still doing its own thing. And I really liked the whole message of kindness and courage. I think was nice. And Lily James is good. And so, yeah, I have Cinderella at number 3.
Nice. Okay, Ryan, you can say yours.
So my third favorite, it was Aladdin from 2019. This is from director Guy Ritchie, and chalk it up to Guy Ritchie is just a fantastic director and one of my favorites going, or chalk it up to many things. But I'm man enough to admit that this is not a perfect movie. Jafar looks like somebody who would be working in my local Spencer Gifts. There's a lot of bad CGI in there. And so I'm man enough to admit that it's not a perfect movie. But what it does make up for it is Will Smith as the genie. Robin Williams is irreplaceable as the genie. But if they had to pick anyone, I am glad they picked Will Smith because he can he at least matched the charisma aspect that Robin Williams did. And I generally enjoyed the songs. I thought they were all done fairly well. Uh, it's not, like I said, it is not perfect. It has a lot of problems, but I walked out of there like, okay, that wasn't like another movie I'm going to talk about in a little bit, but it wasn't like, it didn't want to make me rip my hair out, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my third favorite is actually the same as Rachel's, Cinderella. Um, I have an older sister, so you can expect that we would watch these type of films all the time. And Cinderella, I think that it's very fun. And I think that again, like I think that Lady Tremaine is a little bit surprisingly, Lady Tremaine doesn't get on my nerves as much as more of the stepsisters that do. Um, so I think that Cinderella is really good at its core, and I think that it's like a I don't know, it's just a very big classic, and they did a good job with the live action remake as well. And that is also recently came out on Disney Plus. So if you have a membership, you can check that out. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Very good. Very good pick. I agree. All right. So we're doing our second least favorite.
Yes.
Well, it's a tough for me to decide, but I think my second least favorite is I'm going to go with The Lion King 2019. And I almost went with Beauty and the Beast because I have sort of the same problem with both of them, but I think that Beauty and the Beast has a couple parts more that I like than The Lion King. The Lion King, I mean, it's amazing how incredibly forgettable it is, and they thought that the incredible world building was going to be enough to kind of get them by, and it was enough for them to make $1 billion. So what do I know? But I think this movie is so forgettable. I guarantee you, in I don't know, in a couple of years, nobody will even remember that it came out. It is just there's no emotion with these CGI animals, and so you're just kind of watching things happen and remembering how it was better. The only reason that anything has any emotion is because you remember it from the original film, not because it has any emotion. I thought that all the songs pretty much were all done terribly. All of Timon and Pumbaa were okay, but still, I mean, just the whole thing. I can't believe it's an added 30 minutes because what did they do? What in that 30 minutes? I have no idea. And I don't know. To me, it's just the most bland movie I can even think of. So it in Beauty and the Beast, I hated singing. She cannot sing to save her life. I hated a lot of choices that they made in that movie, but I don't know. It's crazy. But yeah, those are two will probably be equal tie, honestly, for my second to least favorite.
Okay.
What about you, Ryan?
Yeah.
So my second least favorite is Beauty and the Beast from 2017. This is, again, I just walked out of this wanting to headbutt a concrete wall because it was like diet Beauty and the Beast. It wasn't like you had classic Beauty and the Beast, like classic Coca-Cola, and then you had diet Beauty and the Beast. And it was like, it wasn't even diet. It was like new Beauty and the Beast, like new Coke. And it lasted just as long. But this movie is just, oh God, it's just, you talk about the singing in Lion King being bad. Like, good Lord, the singing in Beauty and the Beast. I like Emma Watson. I think she can be a fine actor. She cannot sing her way out of a paper bag.
No.
Because she sings throughout the whole thing. He's like, da 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 da, da 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 da, da 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 da. And I'm like, Hermione,
and not even just
what are you
talk
doing?
singing, it's like digital.
For
She
real.
sounds auto-tuned. It's so bad. And her and the Beast have no chemistry at all, because they're all CGI.
Plus, Dan Stevens, who is normally a good actor, feels restrained by the CGI instead
Yeah.
of just mixing in with it. My two favorite things about the movie, I will give them credit for two things. Casting Kevin Kline as Belle's father. He has a great moment near the beginning where he sings How Does a Moment Last Forever. It's very subtle, and it is done very well. And the ending song where Celine Dion sings, How does a moment last forever? How does a story never die? During the final credits. That's a beautiful song. And maybe it's because I worked at the movie theater during this time, so I had to listen to it about 300 times before it left theaters. But it's a good song. Celine Dion is an incredible singer, and they were right for hiring her to do this. But wow, this movie was bad. It was literally them doing the exact same thing, except with like half the effort.
Yeah. They did this same thing, and yet, except for the changes they did make, were so stupid that it didn't make any sense. For instance, why would Maurice tell Gaston that he has no chance and he'll never allow him to marry his daughter when literally he's the only one who's helping him? That makes no sense. Again, they're relying on your carryover from the animated film to assume that you bring that character over. But if we didn't know that Gaston was a villain, there's no reason why Maurice should say that. Also, there's no reason why Maurice should have kept the fact that Belle's mother died of the plague. That doesn't make any sense. The whole book was so bad. The magic book, I'm like, what? And yeah, that's like, it's not like some embarrassing disease. Like, what? And why would they go to the country to escape the plague? The plague was everywhere. It wasn't just in like, that makes no sense. The whole thing, it's so stupid.
Yeah, and Bill Condon is normally a good director. Like he directed The Good Liar from last year, which I thought was pretty good, but man, he just like swing and a miss on this one.
Yeah, and the whole gay moment thing, that was frustrating because they did
Like,
not pay that off at all.
here was the gay moment in Beauty and the Beast. That was the gay moment in Beauty and the Beast. Like, you could have edited the whole thing out and it would have made no difference. Like, I mean, I guess I'm glad it was in there just for the principle of it, but I mean, sheesh, if you're gonna have it in there, like, do something with it. Don't just say it just to do empty virtue signaling and then just, like, it was like, all right, we did it. Get off our backs now. It's like, no, you got to put some work into it there, Disney. Like, Disney. Like, do something with it if you're going to do it. Anyway, I'll step down from my soapbox on that one.
All right, Micah, what's yours?
Okay, so my second least favorite is actually Beauty and the Beast as well.
Yeah.
I like Beauty and the Beast. I like the original. I think that I think it's fun. I like the singing. I like all the characters. And I recently rewatched it, and I'll probably watch it again because High School Musical, the series, is doing Beauty and the Beast for season 2, and it's going to be interesting to see how they do that. But I think that Beauty and the Beast is good at its core. But I think that the reason why the live action thing is not as good, I'm not going to go into because I really don't know all the director and writing references from you guys. But I think it's because I think that the live action remakes do good when they change a little bit from the original thing. Here, it didn't really feel like they changed anything. It felt like they were doing the same thing. And like you said, the singing wasn't really good because there's a difference between pure singing, which actually you mean it, and talking singing. And I've heard the difference before. So yeah, I think that it was just a little bit, again, I think it was a little bit sloppy. And so, yeah.
Yeah, very good. I agree very much. All right, so we're doing our second favorite?
Yes.
Okay, my second favorite is Pete's Dragon. This is the only one out of all of them that I think is actually better than the original. The original is fine, but I just don't think the humor really works now to a modern audience. And things like that, they have the bill of sale for Pete is sort of weird. And some of the songs and the shenanigans that he wants to make a tonic out of Pete, which is weird. So there's a lot of weird stuff going on there in that movie. Whereas this one does take it a lot more serious, but I think it's really touching, and the relationship between Pete and the dragon is really sweet, and the flying sequences, the special effects, especially on the budget, are very impressive. And I think it has huge heart. I like all the performances. Robert Redford, Bryce Dallas Howard, really wonderful here, I think. And I think it stands on its own as a beautiful boy and his dragon story that to me has sort of the feel and the heart of something like Old Yeller, which I love, that stands up as the only one of these live action remakes that to me has the feel of the Disney live action films that I loved so much. Like I said, like Old Yeller or Pollyanna or the Black Stallion, movies like that take kids seriously, but then also have that whimsy and take them on a journey. And the whole town ends up learning something by the end. So I think David Lowery, the director, I think he did a great job, and I really admire him for how he was able to make a movie like that under the studio system the way it did. I think it's pretty impressive. So that's my number 2.
Yeah, and 1 year after this, David Lowery would direct A Ghost Story, this very cerebral, like abstract, like very slow-paced movie about Casey Affleck as a ghost. So to go from Disney live action remake to A Ghost Story is like, it's quite a range.
It's impressive. It really is.
Anyway, so my second favorite is The Jungle Book from director Jon Favreau. I'm a big fan of Jon Favreau, and so when I heard that he was going to be directing The Jungle Book, I was like, okay, this could be good. And it turned out to be better than I thought it would be. I have a soft spot for the original animated one from the 60s, and so I was very nervous, but I walked out of there like, wow, they actually did right by this. What I liked about it is that they did things differently. They didn't make it this like fun romp, they kind of they made it a little darker, they made the forest like this foreboding place that Mowgli has to survive pretty much on his own. And I don't know about everyone else here, but for me, I liked that. I like the spirit of it. It has, in my opinion, the best voice cast of any of these remakes. Idris Elba is Shere Khan, perfect casting right there. Ben Kingsley is Bagheera, that's awesome too. Bill Murray, God bless him, he cannot sing his way out of a paper bag, but he was great as Baloo. Christopher Walken was surprisingly good as King Louie. God bless him, he can't sing either, but at least he was surprisingly menacing, and I appreciated that. And at the end of the day, I do appreciate the risks Jon Favreau took to try and do things differently. Whether they worked or whether they did not is up to you guys. I think they worked and maybe some of you didn't, but at the end of the day, I think that Jon Favreau did about as good a job remaking The Jungle Book as anyone would.
Yeah, I mean, and that was proven when compared with the, I think, Warner Brothers version that came out later that year, which was terrible. Did you see that with one with Benedict Cumberbatch and the other?
I think that was Andy Serkis, correct?
Yeah, that was awful. I hated it. But yeah, this I actually had as my honorable mention. The Jungle Book. I like the fact they make Mowgli a more dynamic character, and he actually makes choices. And I hate the ending of the animated film with the girls singing and Mowgli becoming like hypnotized by
I must go to fetch the water.
Yeah, I don't like that at all. And I wasn't a big fan of Christopher Walken. I would disagree with you there, just because I feel like the nice thing in the original is that you have the comparison between Baloo, who's all like free living and whatever, and then you have Shere Khan, who's like the villain, the scary one, and then you have King Louis that's like the slick salesman kind of guy. And so I
But
liked
but
that tweak
Rachel,
because I feel
why why would you not like my performance as King Louis?
because the
Don't you
thing is
know
we
that I
already have a mean villain. You know what I mean? Like I think that it's much better if he's like a contrast to Shere Khan.
yeah,
So
and
him being mean, I didn't think worked as well as to being the slick kind of operator as King Louis. But you know what it was. So that one wasn't my favorite, but for the most part, it's a pretty good movie. I liked it.
and also shout out to Scarlett Johansson, who does an
Mm-hmm.
excellent job as Ka, and that's the one thing from the animated movie I didn't like. Like this
Mm.
big old snake is all of a sudden like, oh my sinuses, oh no. And in the live action remake, she's like a freaking 100-foot long snake. I hate snakes with a fiery passion, so I was like, Mowgli, get out of
Yeah.
there. Get out of there. It's gonna eat you. It's gonna eat you, Mowgli. Get out of there. So props to ScarJo for making that work.
Yeah. Yeah. I just wish we got more of her, but yeah, she was fun. Overall, a pretty good film. So what's your number two, Micah?
Okay. For us today, we have 8 minutes left, just so you know. So, my second one
Uh-oh.
is Dumbo. Um, this is the only live action one that I've seen in theaters out of all of them, and I think that I like the idea of Dumbo really well. I think that they do a good job of not making it a little bit too cringy because I think that some of these live action remakes are. Um, I think that they did good casting for Dumbo. I'm not sure of the names, but I think that Tim Burton is the director, I guess. I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think that Dumbo is a really good one.
Cool. Yeah, I actually liked it more than most as well. So, but I know it wasn't very popular, but I thought it did enough right. It's kind of a weird movie, but so I can see why you enjoyed it.
Oh yes, because any movie with Michael Buffer in it is totally normal.
Yeah, that's right. All right. So we're at our least favorite. I guess we have to do this quick. Well, my least favorite of these remakes is Maleficent. I know it has its fans, but I really disliked it. I just thought turning her into some kind of wounded creature who's like been basically raped within the movie was bizarre. I hated what they did with the fairies. Turning them into complete idiots. I didn't like how they changed it to Maleficent's kiss saves the day. That was so stupid. I mean, it looks nice, I guess, but it did not like it at all. And so, yeah, that's my least favorite.
Yeah, Maleficent is super weak tea, and it was almost an honorable mention. But
Yeah.
my least favorite Disney remake of all time is The Lion King, and I
Yeah.
won't go too deep into it because Rachel pretty much covered what I wanted to say. But just wanted to tell a quick story. I was going to react to the teaser trailer for the original 1994 classic on my channel as a bit of an intricate joke, thinking that, oh, they're just going to do the same thing. They actually did less. And so part of me was like, man, Ryan, why didn't you do that? But then at the same time, it probably would have gotten claimed anyway, so I'm glad I didn't. But yeah, Lion King is just the worst. They did everything half-assed, and they just completely took the mick out of Mufasa's death when Simba was like, no, and like, so
Yeah, it's so bad. So bad.
anyway, Micah, to you,
My least favorite is also The Lion King. I
Yeah.
recently
my
rewatched
man.
the cartoon and the remake, and I also it was the cartoon version was one of my picks on the Movie Nerds Club. We'll talk about that at the end. But I think that The Lion King, um, I don't know. I think that again, how I was talking about with the Jungle Book, the animal live action ones score a little bit less on me, and I think that The Lion King, it's underrated, but I think that Mufasa's death is one of the most heartbreaking scenes. But when you have live action, it just felt a little bit, I don't know, just felt a little bit off again. And you guys already went into it with your stories and everything. So that's my least favorite one.
Mm-hmm. Very good. Yeah, I would agree. Pretty much all in agreement there.
Anyway, Rachel, what's your honorable and dishonorable mentions?
My honorable mention is The Jungle Book as far as positive, and my dishonorable mention was Beauty and the Beast. I kind of had them as a tie, so yeah.
My honorable mention was Cinderella. I loved the production design, and Kenneth Branagh absolutely crushed it in terms of making it look like Cinderella. It was a narrow tie between that and Aladdin. And my dishonorable mention is Alice Through the Looking Glass.
Yeah.
At least it was colorful, they at least didn't make it like a Marilyn Manson album cover.
Yeah, it would be a dishonorable for me also. I kind of grouped it together with the original. But yeah, it's a good one.
My honorable mention is 101 Dalmatians. I
good one.
I like this one. I think that it's a very good classic. I think it's up there. If I was going to give my rankings on my Disney classics, which maybe we'll do a video on that sometime, but my dishonorable mention is Christopher Robin from 2018. One I always love Winnie the Pooh, and I think that the whole Christopher Robin thing is a very classic story. But it just, again, I think the main thing is what it felt off and a little bit creepy, and that's my opinions on that. We also say our favorites.
My favorite is Mary Poppins Returns. I love all of this, the music, the new songs. I'm a real sucker for musical. I love Emily Blunt's performance. I realize it's not technically a remake, it's a sequel, but you said it counted. I love all the production design. I love all the whimsy. I just feel like they did about as good a job as you could do following up to Mary Poppins, and I was charmed by it. I really enjoyed it. I like Lin-Manuel, Dick Van Dyke. I liked the story of him reclaiming his family. To me, it was like a little bit different than sort of the businessman father. This was like a businessman failure as the dad, so it was like a little different than the original. And I loved it. I thought it was great. So it is my favorite.
Okay, cool.
Ryan, what's your favorite?
My favorite was Pete's Dragon.
Mm-hmm.
And pretty much for all the reasons you mentioned, Rachel, Robert Redford is wonderful. I mean, he's always been awesome in anything that he's been involved with. And they made it different enough to where it all just worked. It really did.
Yeah.
And for me, Pete's Dragon, same thing. I'm not gonna explain it anymore, but it was definitely good. So as we wrap this up, we recently started something called the Movie Nerds Club, where each month we do a ranking of a movie, which is pretty cool. So you can go check that on all three of our channels. We did our top 5 Disney animated films this month. I'm also going to be on the Ratatouille podcast on Rachel's Reviews later this month, so be sure to check that out, and that'll be the link below. And yeah, so thanks everyone for watching the studio. Thanks for joining me, guys, and bye.
Bye.
Bye.